Hi there, this is Brent Harris. I am a life coach, and what I do is I show people how to access and operate from their highest potential as a human being. And so in this video, what I'd like to do is share with you something that occurred to me, something that I learned that I hope will benefit you. And it begins with a story of something that I went through recently. So basically, I began coaching professionally in 2017, which as of today was roughly 18 months ago, give or take, a year and a half. And the reason why I began because kind of up until that point, I really felt like I was floundering as a person. I just felt like I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to accomplish, a lot of stuff that I felt like I could do, and I was sort of beating around the bush, sort of procrastinating, sort of just, delaying and delaying. And New Year's of that 2017 rolled around, and it just felt like, all right, I want to do this. I want to really, become a grown-up. I want to really actualize my potential. I want to really offer whatever there is to offer, and really just, I don't know, let's do it. Let's really put the pedal to the metal. And since then, I started putting habits in place, and I started really studying these ideas of self-discipline and how do you get yourself to do what's good for you, despite the fact that there's often this sort of kickback where, you really make yourself, say exercise regularly, but then there's something in you that's like, no, like we're just going to be lazy and we're going to undo all the progress that you made in the exercise that you have been doing, so that we just return back to ground zero. That seems to be something that happens in myself and other people a lot. And so on one hand, it was like, getting the fitness thing online, and on the other hand, it was getting the money and business thing online, becoming wealthy so that I can create a home for my wife and I, that we can, eventually just, have more control over our lives and just create our life as we'd like to. We have some plans that we'd like to see come into fruition in the upcoming few years, and it's just time to act on them. And so that's been the thing up until, really about last week, about a week ago. And the plans are still there, but what had been happening over this time was that I've been increasing and increasing and increasing, excuse the train, sorry, the amount of effort that I've been applying to my life. So since that point, I've been trying harder and applying myself more and applying more effort and looking up more techniques and tools and applying them. And what I found is that instead of becoming more successful and getting more on top of my shit and more on top of my life, I found the opposite was happening. I found that I would, in terms of physical, my physical health, I would still kind of get fit, but then kind of get fat again, and get fit and then get fat, relative for me. And in terms of business, there'd be some business that would come in, not a whole lot, but not none. And it would just kind of maintain this sort of plateau of not enoughness. And so it was Tuesday, it was like kind of Monday, Tuesday of last week, where the bottom fell out from under me. And perhaps you've gone through something like this before. The bottom fell out. There were suddenly no more fucks to give. There was just no more of my mojo or my energy that I could apply to all of this, what really was an enormous amount of effort that I was applying to my life. There was just no more effort to give. And that was really scary because there was a reason why I was applying all this effort. I was doing it so that I could be successful, so that I could make it. And that's going to be an operative idea in this video. And nevertheless, all the effort kind of drained, and I just found that there was nothing that I could really do. I had no wherewithal to really to do any of the stuff that I was doing. And so I found myself, for that ensuing week up until now, I found myself just sort of operating on my reserves, just doing the bare minimum to keep the ship going from day to day. So still, checking into my regular fundraising job, still brushing my teeth, still feeding myself, but doing really nothing else to kind of create any progress in my life. So that's part one. So I knew better, and I hope you also do, I knew better than to start berating myself and punishing myself for not doing enough, going into what's wrong with me, why am I failing? That's something that a lot of us do, and it tends to really cloud and confuse and slow the process when we go into that self-flagellation, that self-punishment. Instead of doing that, what I did was I kept a really nice neutral curiosity about what was happening and just allowed it to happen. So it was like, okay, it seems there's no effort. All right, this is not fitting my plans. All right, I think I'm just gonna go into observation mode, where I just kind of follow what's happening instead of trying to summon even more energy to kind of get back on top of it. I'm just gonna follow this through and see what happens. And then as I did that, something became clear to me that could not have otherwise become clear to me if I had not surrendered into this process. I was operating through a very, very narrow focus ever since I made that decision in 2017 to get on top of my shit, to get my shit together. I've been operating through a very, very narrow frame where essentially the name of this frame was, I need to get on top, I need to get together, I need to get to that point, it's time to become successful. And in the relaxation of that effort, I found myself withdrawing from that frame, and all at once I was becoming aware of how not only how peaceful life is, but how life is just way, way, way more enormous than this frame that I was operating in. It was actually very, very narrow. I remembered what it felt like to be in grade school, what it felt like to be in high school. I remembered all these different frames that I've been operating from, and I could actually choose something that's much more helpful. I had a much, much more altitude than I've ever had. The problem with what I was doing was that I was operating from an assumption that I'm not successful. I was operating from an assumption that what I have and what I've done and what I am and what I've accomplished is not enough. We'll pause here for a second. Do you find that in your own life you are operating from the assumption of not enoughness? Do you feel like you're not enough? You haven't done enough, read enough, studied enough, practiced enough to blank. And that blank is important because for me, the whole endeavor was to get to a sort of crest, to get to an apex, to get to a point where after that, it doesn't necessarily get easy, but it becomes enjoyable. And I'm in a place where I finally have all the resources and I've done enough that I can start getting into the good stuff, that I can get into the stuff that I'm getting around to, that I can get into the creative processes that I see in my imagination that are really going to be fun. And it'll really be like, this next level that I'm trying to get at. I've been speaking with a couple different people lately about this, and a lot of us feel like once we get to that point, what is that point for you? When you get to that point where it's suddenly life is good, or suddenly life is easy, or suddenly, life is what you want it to be, and you can have that kind of that movement into flow and that movement into enjoyment, where you're no longer trying to get somewhere because you're in it, and you're just enjoying life and in a positive kind of upward creative process with it. It's that feeling of not being there yet, that feeling of not enoughness. That is a lie. Now, the thing is about false ideas that we really invest our creative energy into, which is to say false beliefs that we just subscribe to for a long period of time. The trouble is that we tend to accumulate a lot of evidence for our own limitations. we tend to have reason. So if you were to ask me even about a month ago, Brent, are you at that point yet? I would say no, and I would have all this evidence to present you why I'm not enough, why I haven't done enough, why I'm not there yet. Whatever beliefs we operate from, we just collect evidence for until it sort of solidifies, or you could even say it calcifies, like it seems to become part of the permanent furniture of our life. But that doesn't make it not a lie. It just means that it's a lie that we've invested in and created as our own personal reality. Reality, little r reality, not capital R reality. Capital R reality, reality that we all share, it can't really be described, and you can't really say that it's this way or it's that way, because it's so open and so multifaceted and so pliable and malleable and plastic that it just becomes whatever you say it is. That's the substance of capital R reality. So in this video, I want to invite you to drop this idea of I'm not enough. Anywhere you hold on to this sense of not enoughness, I haven't done enough, I'm not enough, anything like that, would you be willing to recognize that it's false, despite how much evidence you have to believe that it's so? If so, I would like to perform an access consciousness clearing on it right now. There's nothing required of you except for you to consent. So, are you willing to drop this idea of not enoughness? Yes or no? Good, bad, right, wrong, POC, POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. Anywhere you've accepted this idea that you're not enough, haven't done enough, or must do enough before you can enjoy your life, would you be willing to release and destroy and uncreate all of that? Yes or no? Good, bad, right, wrong, POC, POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And then a third one. No, actually that covers all of it. That's good. So, some notes here to make sure I've covered everything. If you are operating from a sense of not enoughness, which is to say that you are trying to get to a point where after that point life is good, your life will feel like effort. What that means is you are applying effort on a day-by-day basis and not getting the corresponding results for it. So let that be a big clue to you. If you feel like what you're giving is out of proportion to what you're receiving, it means that your relationship it means that the frame that you're operating from is a frame of not enoughness. So what is there instead? What to do about it? Let this be your guiding light for now, if you find that you're really resonating with what you've heard so far. Operate from stability. Find stability in your life. Because if you're operating from a place of not enoughness, life feels unstable. Time's running out. Opportunities are getting away from me. I'm getting old too quickly. I'm falling behind. All of my peers and cohorts are getting ahead of me. That's the sort of thought that would occur to you. All of that is bullshit. Don't listen to any of it. It's bullshit. Find stability. You can find stability by offering the opposite. By offering thoughts and affirmations that are much more conducive to this stability. So you can start by saying, I am enough. I've done enough. I've accomplished enough. What I am is enough. And really insist on it. Really believe it. Really know that it's true. And to take it even a step further, start doing things and start the behaviors that you are reserving for when life gets good, for when you hit that point. start treating this point as that point. So if there's something that you've been meaning to getting around to doing, like maybe a project, a creative project, an artistic thing, to start a new exercise plan, to go traveling, to take a vacation, to start a business, whatever it is that you see that, like, once I hit this point, then I'm going to start, acting in such and such a way. Start doing that, so that you can start, because there's ultimately no way to get out of this point and into another one. It's still a fiction. There's only ever this moment now that you apply your creativity toward, and you start shaping, and you can start shaping it with those actions. I recommend, as a final note, I recommend making regular, stable, consistent contributions to that end. So that might be a creative thing, like, if you're a writer, say, writing 500 words every day and insisting on that. Or if it's exercise, like insisting on making sure that you go out and going for a run every single day. If you do that and you become stable in that, it will give you the tools, it will give you the practical tools that will allow you to build more on top of that and transform your life in the way that you see in your imagination. And that's all I got for you. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. If you'd like a one-on-one session with me, hit me up in a comment or email me at brenthuris@gmail.com. Lovely. Take care. Bye.